Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. In today's story, OP has the weirdest experience I can ever describe. Well, not OP, her brother. Essentially, her brother goes on a date with a woman and they have a really good time. But then she invites him to a family gathering and he's happy to go, but things quickly take a nosedive from there. Luckily, there is an explanation, albeit a very weird one in the update, so stay tuned for that to find out. I do hope that you enjoy this story. If you do, please leave a thumbs up. And before I move on to the story, I just wanted to take a second and thank all of my subscribers. Thank you so much, you guys are the best. If you do like my content, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and on to the story. I thought my brother was being tricked into joining an MLM, but now I think it was a cult or something. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. My brother, a 25-year-old male, and I, a 28-year-old female, have always been very close, considering we're only 3 years apart in age and we started hanging out with the same friend circle in our mid-teens. After a failed house share, long story, I had to move back in with my parents, while my brother has been living in a house down the road from them for the past 4 years. He works from home part-time, but he hates his job. About a month ago, my brother came over for coffee during his lunch break, and we were chatting while he told me about a blind date that his friend Kirian, whom I don't really know but I know of him, had set him up with. He was really excited about it. He went on the date with the girl, whom I'll call Sarah, a fortnight ago, and he told me about it the next day. He said Sarah was gorgeous, a year older than him, tall and slim, with long blonde hair and green eyes. He said that she's probably one of the most beautiful women he's ever met. I was happy for him because I don't think that he's had a girlfriend since he was 18, and the way that he was talking about her made it sound like they got along very well. At the end of the date, Sarah asked him if he'd like to meet her aunt and sisters because he'd mentioned that he's unhappy with his work life. She said that her family has their own business and that he should come around for a meeting the next evening. I thought that that was weird, but he sounded really excited about it. I expressed my concerns to him, telling him that it sounded like an MLM, which is multi-level marketing, and they were going to try and recruit him. He laughed it off and said that he'd be going around to their house to discuss it, and that if it was an MLM, he'd nope right out of there. I said okay, be safe, have fun, and call me if you need help or if you want me to pick you up, etc. A few days passed and I sent him a text asking him how it went. He replied saying that it definitely wasn't an MLM, and there were more people there than just her sisters and aunt. He said that there were around 11 women there and that he was the only male. When he got there, they made him tea and all the women were just chit-chatting until the quote-unquote aunt, a woman in her late 40s, came out and shushed them all. They all took their seats, including my brother, who sat down next to Sarah, and the aunt began to speak. My brother said that he wasn't really 100% sure what she was talking about, but it sounded like she was reading gospel passages or something, with bits of English and bits of another language unidentifiable by my brother. The aunt asked my brother to stand up beside her at the front of the living room, and all the women started passing around a basket and filling it with cash. Apparently, soon after this quote-unquote collection was finished, the women started singing in this other language, and then dispersed around the house. He said that from that moment onwards, it was just like a regular party or get-together. He was a bit baffled, but an hour later all the women had left. He was helping Sarah clean up glasses and plates when the aunt came over and sat down at the kitchen table. She handed my brother the basket of money, which he didn't take, so I don't really know how much those women had given, and said to him that if he comes back every week for their meetings, he'll receive the same or more payments for his presence. Later that night, he asked Sarah what he had just attended, and she said that it was a family tradition and as a man, he should be rewarded. She was adamant about him coming back the next week. However, he decided not to go and blocked her on everything. So what the hell did my brother attend? Why were they giving him money for doing absolutely nothing? I want to make it clear that I know my brother very well, and he's a very honest person. He did not provide any sort of services for these women, nor did they ask him to. He and I have absolutely no idea what any of this was about. In a previous comment, I mentioned that I didn't think my brother had spoken to Kieran since the blind date. However, when I asked my brother about this, he told me that he had spoken to Kieran and that Kieran was quite upset at him for blocking Sarah. He wanted to know why my brother did that. My brother explained that he had just felt uncomfortable around Sarah's family and didn't want to have anything more to do with her. After that, my brother asked Kieran how he knew Sarah. It's a bit odd, but he revealed that Sarah was his now deceased brother's girlfriend's sister. Kieran's brother took his own life back in the beginning of 2020, and Sarah's the youngest sister of his girlfriend whom he was dating at the time of his passing. I don't understand why my brother didn't ask how Kieran knew Sarah before agreeing to the blind date, but I guess that's how he knows Sarah. One Redditor asked, "Are you based in Munster? It could be a fertility ritual." To which OP replied, "Leinster, you think? Is that common?" And then that Redditor replied, "I'm not sure if it's common, but it sounds likely. All of the women were of quote-unquote childbearing age, from between 18 and 30. Your brother was treated as an object rather than a human, indicating that he played some sort of prop role, and the whole thing sounds a bit ritualistic." I could be completely wrong, but that was my first take on it. Also, there are some, shall we say, slightly more holistic women in the southwest, where I'm from. To which OP replied, Okay, that makes a lot of sense. He said that there was a lot of Catholic imagery around the house, but we're in Ireland, so we suspected nothing of that, to be honest. But he said that there were some weird wooden masks on the wall, as well as locks of hair inside frames. Oh my god, that sounds weird, but I thought maybe it was a remembrance thing for a deceased family member or something. I'm going to text him and ask more about the actual women themselves, what the language sounded like, and if there was anything else weird he noticed around the house, etc. And then OP also added, he said that there were about 4 small frames containing rings of hair inside and tiny words underneath each of them, but not in the English language. He said definitely not Gaelic or Latin, and not a language he recognized, so that means French, German, Italian, and Spanish are also out of the picture. Okay, so here's what he found out. The language that was spoken and written is called Coptic, and as far as Google tells me, it's spoken only in Egypt. Google says Coptic is spoken liturgically today in Coptic Orthodox and Coptic Catholic churches. The lock of hair are from deceased loved ones, and the writing underneath them basically translates to never forgotten. The quote-unquote business run by Sarah's grandmother involves performing rituals each week where women who are struggling to get pregnant come and essentially listen to her weird sermons. With a man present, they're able to quote-unquote absorb the masculine, whatever that means, and it's supposed to help them conceive. The payment doesn't 100% go to the man who takes part. He gets 30% and the ad takes the other 70%. And honestly, I'm a pretty spiritual person, but it sounds like a scam to me. I'm kind of pissed that my brother was almost dragged into this. This woman is basically taking advantage of others who are desperate and vulnerable and taking their money because they believe she's possessed by the spirit of some ancient Egyptian god. This is sad AF. So guys, what did you think about this? Honestly, I thought it was very weird. I mean, I kind of knew that things like this did exist, but that being said, I really didn't think that I'd hear stories about it in modern day society. It's so weird. I don't think it's okay if people are being taken advantage of, and I wholeheartedly agree with OP here that women who are struggling with infertility, this quote-unquote aunt is definitely taking advantage of their money. What the hell, man? You have to be the scummiest and lowest person of earth to be able to do that. I don't know, it just makes me so angry. Anyways, I'd be really interested to hear what you guys think about this. Please let me know in the comments down below. If you did like this, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.